Is Cooper Flagg the best prospect since LeBron? Probably not. That and more on an Ask LOJ edition of Locked On Jazz.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
How are you? I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and making it way better, hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all podcasting apps, as well as on YouTube, and we have a free daily newsletter for you as well. It is the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On today's show, it is an Ask LOJ edition. We are loaded with questions today. They are always great. How does the front office sell Will Hardy on these? What players will still be around when we're good? Bunch of people fighting me on the value of tanking after yesterday's show. Would you pursue John Morant? What is your thoughts on the 2021 draft class? What if we'd run it back? Lauri Markkanen's role, Cody Williams, rookie year. We start on today's edition of Locked On Jazz, which, by the way, I should mention this before we dig in right away, is brought to you by FanDuel today. FanDuel, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with your first $5 bet wins. What prospects have been better than Cooper Flagg since LeBron? So this is an interesting question because, I was hoping this would be Tim Duncan because then you have Yao Ming in the mix, right? So I've heard he's best in. So LeBron, clearly. There are 6 players that have come into the draft with equal to, if not superior prospect than Cooper Flagg, okay? 1 or 2 of them might surprise you. Now, they didn't pan out, but on the other end, Cooper Flagg might not totally pan out either. So, in reverse order, Victor, far bigger than Cooper Flagg 2 years ago. And the prospect of Victor, still way bigger than Cooper Flagg. Like, if the Jazz got the number 1 pick and the Spurs called and said, we'd send you Victor for Cooper Flagg, even with a blood clot, I think we'd say yes. So there's no question. Victor's way, way bigger prospect than Cooper Flagg. Zion Williamson's a way bigger prospect than Cooper Flagg, too. Zion Williamson at Duke was one of the most incredibly dominating physical forces the game had seen. And, we can now know that he's, you could have looked at him then and worried about his weight. And we can now know he's played 24-61, missed a whole season. And this year he'll end up playing 30 games. We know that now, but if you go back to coming out of Duke, that team, he and R.J. Barrett are on the same team. He averaged 23 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists a game and shot 68% and was 18, just like Cooper Flagg. So, no, Zion Williamson, much bigger prospect, much bigger high thought, and much big than Cooper Flagg. This one would surprise you. But the Andrew Wiggins, Jabari Parker, Joel Embiid, Aaron Gordon, Marcus Smart, Dante Exum draft actually had people tanking at a crazy rate. And Andrew Wiggins was thought to be all everything. He might not have been more hype than Cooper Flagg because he didn't have that Olympic team background because he's Canadian. But Andrew Wiggins was thought to be all everything. And then got caught in the whole LeBron, Kevin Love, all that stuff. So that one I think would surprise you. But if you went back to the draft talk around Andrew Wiggins, it was pretty high level. Anthony Davis, to me, and we'll see, this one, he could actually end up on par if Cooper Flagg wins it. But Anthony Davis was the college basketball player of the year, was the SEC defensive player of the year, might have been the college basketball defensive player of the year, and carried Kentucky to the national championship and was pretty dominant. His numbers weren't like crazy. He was 14 and 10 and the 60% shooting, but you knew what was coming. So I would say Anthony Davis, and particularly Anthony Davis's college performance. Anthony Davis was clearly the best player in college basketball. Another one that I think, the next two I think would surprise you. And it's hard to like put your glasses on to today, the hype machine that we have today compared to what we had then. But Blake Griffin played 2 years at Oklahoma. And in his second year at Oklahoma, he averaged 23 points, 14 rebounds, and shot 65% from the field and dunked everything. He then gets hurt, by the way, and misses his, if you remember this, and misses his entire opening rookie season. And then when he finally does play, he's the delayed rookie like Ben Simmons was. He was actually a top 10 MVP candidate in his first full season as the NBA, which has probably happened to almost none. I mean, he wins Rookie of the Year going away, but he's actually a top 10 MVP caliber candidate. I think averaged 25 and 12 his first year in the league. So I actually would go with Blake Griffin after his second year at Oklahoma, probably a bigger prospect than Cooper Flagg. And the final one that would probably stun you, and there were two of them that year. One of them was Kevin Durant. The other was Greg Oden. Again, we now know that Greg Oden got hurt. But at the time, Greg Oden, first of all, it was a consensus that you take Greg Oden over Kevin Durant. That was not like a weird pick that didn't make any sense. And Mike Conley and Greg Oden were a pretty incredible combination at Ohio State. Greg Oden averaged 16 points and 10 rebounds as a 19-year-old rookie. It was still in a day and age where that player, that prototype player fit. It was, I believe, Oden is in the 2007 draft. And honestly, at 7 feet, 250, the way he could move, like everyone thought he was amazing. So I would actually argue that there are 6 prospects since LeBron that are on par with Cooper Flagg. And some that are far superior. Victor's far superior. I think Anthony Davis is superior. I think Blake Griffin is superior. Like Anthony Davis, Blake Griffin, Victor Wembanyama, and frankly, Zion Williamson, like Hall of Fame. Guaranteed, no questions asked. Now, Zion, we'll see if he ever gets there. Greg Oden was too, frankly. So it's interesting. We're in this moment in time, but I think if you go back and honestly assess where we were, I think you would take those 6 since LeBron having as much hype as Cooper Flagg, and I would guess the Andrew Wiggins and the Greg Oden surprise you. How deep is this year's draft? Is it an important part of having the worst record being able to have the highest worst case? Yes, I think so. This is a great question. There is a murmur right now that there's a feeling that there's a real drop at 2. That Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper are better than everyone else. And then that next group of guys, which seems to have 5 or 6 in it, I've started to listen to Locked On NBA Draft Big Board. We'll have to hear some more of their tiers. And I can't tell right now, but it's beginning to feel that this one falls off a little faster than anyone wants to talk about. That's the feeling I'm getting right now. That Minnesota pick we have, I think it's going to take some real front office artistic value to pull off a pick there. It's feeling as though that might not like last year. I don't think last year was pretty ridiculously bad, but we shall see. Cody Williams, first year, was not good. No lying. That many air balls, that many misses, not good. Didn't show flashes. How concerned should we be? Next on Locked on Jazz. Today's edition of Locked on Jazz is brought to you by Murdoch Hyundai, located at 4646 South State Street, also located in Logan and in Linden. I'm currently driving the brand new body shape Santa Fe, and it is pretty fabulous. Super impressed by it. Drives great. We actually took it to Sun Valley, and my son drove some of it and was like just wildly impressed with how smooth it was, what a great ride it was. Everyone in the house is loving the brand new Santa Fe. There's also the Palisade, the Kona, the Tucson. The SUV lineup of Hyundais are just amazing. The electric cars are the 5 and the 6, the Ioniqs. They've won every award imaginable. So if you're looking for a car right now, look at Hyundai and do it with the Murdochs. Email me first at dlock09@gmail.com. That's dlock09@gmail.com so that I can make sure that we get you the VIP experience that you deserve at Murdoch Hyundai. Today's show is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. All the madness of March with 5 Hour Energy keeps you going. It's time now to go to 5hourenergy.com and stock up and save. What is it that's worn you down? That daylight savings change, late night basketball, extra work, whatever it might mean, no, it is your chance to get a little extra golf in, a little extra life in, a little extra this in with 5 Hour Energy. It gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up wherever you need it. Extra daylight, want extra activities, need a little extra juice, get that hike, go get Tropical Burst as your go-to for the quick boost. On-the-go convenience, whether at a game, traveling, just need it. 5 Energy is easy to grab and keeps you feeling refreshed. Head to 5hourenergy.com and find out about the 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, peach mango. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack delivered right to your door. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery store or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today. Stay energized with 5 Hour Energy. It is Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast in the Utah Jazz, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We have the daily newsletter at lockedondaily.com. You get the Utah Jazz into your inbox each and every day with all the latest insight and information. Please follow for free and get it sent to you. Go to lockedondaily.com. All right, let's go back to your questions. You guys are always so great at these. I greatly appreciate it. You often talk about rookies going into their first summer trying to work on everything and not improving significantly in one area. If you were the Jazz staff, what would you have Cody work on? This is a great question. Because honestly, I don't know yet what he can do due to his lack of strength. Lack of shooting touch by the end of the year was disconcerting. So I would start in 2 places. He did gain some weight during the season, which is hard to do and a good sign. He's probably lost it now with mono. So let's go through a few things. One, the first and foremost thing is he has to be physically capable of being an NBA player. There were 2 skills. Excuse me. In Cody's case, I don't think we have like, oh, this is your route. Oh, this is how you're going to be successful. He's going to have to figure out how to defend. He's got a really good basketball IQ. So there's 2 things, and I don't know how you develop one of them. One is physical strength and just being really ready to be a defensive player next year to get yourself going. 2 is I did think there was just a lack of touch. I thought at times he dribbled like he had a spatula in his hand, and then the air balls showed some lack of touch and also just mental fatigue. And I don't know how you combat those or how you teach either of those two things. But maybe the strength will gain you confidence and things of that nature in the process. But it's a great question. I don't think Cody Williams' rookie year gave you like the script by which of what you're building on. I don't think there's a lot of little pieces where you're saying, okay, this was your success route. This is what made you like, he doesn't have, Isaiah Collier, you're going to try to fix that shot and add that into the mix, right? That's pretty clear. Kyle Filipowski, I think you're going to try to figure out how you can physically get stronger and not, and figure out what you're going to be able to do defensively, offensively, doing it and further refine that shot. Like there's a lot of stuff there. But on Cody, I agree. If the Jazz continue to tank for 2 or 3 years, is it reasonable to ask Markkanen to wait that long to be competitive? Well, I mean, at some extent, the crappy answer is that's what the money's for. Like he's getting paid 40 whatever million. I mean, I think honestly, the Lauri conversation is going to heat right back up the minute the season's over. I guess it's heating up right now. And a little bit after the draft lottery, depending where we finish. The Jazz have another question on Lauri. Should having Lauri on the roster speed up the Jazz rebuild timeframe? Danny Ainge in this process has wanted to have his cake and eat it too. And the reason he's wanted to have his cake and eat it too is because that's what he did in Boston. In Boston, he had Paul Pierce on his roster. He was planning to go get Kevin Durant in the draft, on the Greg Oden Kevin Durant draft. They had a poor year. And then they have a bad lottery. And in the bad lottery, he then pivots, goes from 2 to 5, trades Jeff Green, who's his draft pick, for Ray Allen, and in the meantime is able to trade Al Jefferson and a bunch of other players for Kevin Garnett because he has Paul Pierce, and he pivots into a championship team. And I do think that Lauri Markkanen on this roster is playing the same role as Paul Pierce did for Danny on that roster. It gives him the flexibility of alternate routes. Like if we drop to 5, do you suddenly trade the 5th pick for Trae Young? Do you trade the 5th pick for Zion Williamson? Do you take the 5th pick for LaMelo Ball? Do you trade the 5th pick for, I don't think they give up Paolo Banchero, but they probably should. What like the 5th pick and probably a bunch of others on that one. What are you able to, what's your pivot? And then are you using, let's say you go, this was my theory last year. This was kind of crazy, but I would have been a proponent last year of trading for both Karl Anthony Towns and Trae Young. Not one of them, both of them. And then you put them with Lauri and you just have the greatest offensive team in the league and you just try to outscore people 130 to 120 because our defense would be abysmal, but it's differential. Like Mike D'Antoni used to always talk about that. Fine. Like I don't care about my defense. It's 4 points less. My offense is 4 or 5 points better than my defense. We're really good. And that would have been my model on that one. So I think the Jazz have wanted to have their cake and eat it too in this process. That's not a bad thing, by the way. Having your cake and eating it too is good. I would like to have my ice cream and my cake. Right? Like, so, yeah, I want to make sure, like, that phrase, I don't mean it negatively at all, but I think that's what Lauri's role is here. If at some point, based on the lottery outcome, the Jazz really pick, like, one lane, which is, we're doing this for 2 more, 3 more years, then yeah, maybe it makes sense to move Lauri. The other one would be, I could say, is let's say we get the 5th pick. So that's disaster. And you can't trade it for Trae Young or LaMelo Ball or Zion Williamson. And you realize, like at that point, oh, we really have to do this for 2 more years. We don't actually have a choice anymore. Because the 5th pick is not going to get us. It's a nice player, but it's Jabari Smith, not a chance for a star. And if at that point, then you might know, okay, we're definitely doing this for 2 more years. Maybe you are moving Lauri. So the Lauri conversation, once he's eligible to be traded again, which is the year after of him signing his extension. Actually, he's eligible to trade again. He was eligible to trade 1 day after the trade deadline. It's going to heat back up of whether Lauri matches the timeline of the Utah Jazz. That will heat back up. If the Jazz ran back Mitchell and Gobert squad, but with Coach Hardy instead of Quinn, what could have that looked like? I think this is a legitimate, interesting question. I always wonder. But on the other end, the Jazz got offered something for Rudy that they thought was magnificent. And then Donovan, I don't think really wanted to be part of the rebuild. So had the Jazz just cut down any trade possibilities and decided Quinn was the problem. I think that group as a whole had worn out. Whether it was Quinn that had worn out or the group as a whole had worn out. Would have the change from Quinn Snyder to Will Hardy revitalized the energy of that group? And would have a rookie first-year head coach been ready for that? Probably. Will's pretty special. But it's an interesting question. I don't think I have the wherewithal to really dig into it to try to figure out the answer to that. Whether a new voice, I think you would have had to have a lot. How about this? You're going to have a lot more changes than just a new voice. Like you probably have to move Mike. Joe's already gone. Probably got to move Royce. Figure out what Bojan's role is. Bojan hasn't done much since he left. Like I think you would have had to really rock it more than just the head coaching change at that point. That would be my thoughts. How wild do you want to get? If Memphis is going to move John Morant, should the Jazz get involved? And a bunch of people refute yesterday's show about the 3-year top 5 pick being a successful manner to build a team. Today's edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by Wayfair. Today's edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by Wayfair. Give your home the refresh it needs at Wayfair.com. Wayfair's cool. So, home project, outdoor furniture, refresher room, tackle a renovation, building a new house. Wayfair is the best kept secret for all things home improvement. From small projects like stylish cabinet hardware to major upgrades like new vanities, sinks, outdoor lighting, Wayfair has quality products at every budget. I've been blown away. So we are using Wayfair for a bunch of things right now. I don't need to get into all the details, but they're free and fast shipping makes it easy. No hauling heavy items over the store. Top brands, GE, all others at great prices. Shopping, seamless. I think the best part is the different price points. So if it's a part of your house you want to have look fancy and be great, you can go to Wayfair. And there's like, I don't need our back closet in our master bedroom to be that nice. No one else is seeing it but me and my wife. So you find the things that fit your style and your space, and you do it with Wayfair. Wayfair makes home improvement easy. Get started now at Wayfair.com. That's Wayfair, Wayfair.com. Wayfair, every style for every home. It's Wayfair. Jump aboard. Our next sponsor on today's edition of Locked On Jazz is Open Phone. I think you guys have heard me lament this. You get 20% because it makes me cringe every time that I didn't use Open Phone when I was building Locked On, because it's such like a necessary thing, and I have so many stories about how it went the other way. So if you're running a small business, that's a lot of hats. Your personal phone becomes your business phone. That's what happened to me. Before you know it, you're juggling customer calls day and night. And as your team grows, it becomes impossible to manage everything with just your personal number. That's where Open Phone comes in. It's the #1 business phone system designed to help you with your work, your personal life space, and keeping them separate for just $15 a month. the cost of a few coffees, you can complete transparency and visibility into everything happening with your business phone number. Open Phone works through an app on your phone or computer and integrates with a tool like HubSpot and hundreds of others. It also uses AI-powered call transcripts and summaries, so you'll have a rundown of your calls, action items, and second you hang up the phone. If you miss a call, no problem. Automated messages are sent directly to your customer, ensuring you never miss an opportunity to engage. So right now, Open Phone is offering 20% off their first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's openphone, openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. 20% off for 6 months. Openphone.com, LockedOnNBA. If you have existing number with another service, Open Phone will port them over at no additional charge. You probably have seen me today fidgeting all the time. I'm not complaining. I'm just sharing. So we are at the point of this road trip and probably of this season where different beds, different chairs. This chair is literally the most uncomfortable chair on the planet in this hotel. I literally have taken the nice chair seats to try to get it too low, and it doesn't have any support. And I'm not my body just dying right now. It's like yoga every morning just to survive, and I haven't done it yet this morning. All right, that was not that's this. I have the greatest gig ever. I'm not trying to complain at all, but I was just sharing. I know that anyone was watching on YouTube was like, wow, he is so fidgety today. Yeah, my back's killing me because this is literally the most uncomfortable chair, and just nothing. Like, my bed's perfectly fine, but it's just, you're in your fourth bed in 5 nights with one more coming. But we're almost at the finish line. All right, let's go back to your questions. They have been great today. We're going to rapid fire. Would you pursue John Morant if he became available this summer? That's a tricky one. I mean, this gets into the Ja, LaMelo, Zion. I generally am on the side of, if you're pivoting and you can get that type of talent, get it. Like, you've spent an entire season losing 60 plus games so that you could go have a shot at that kind of talent. And now you have a chance at that kind of talent. I think you have to go get it and hope you can figure it out. What do I think of Jonathan Kuminga or the other 2021 draft picks? And I believe Collier should be given more of a green light. The flashes of self-creation are insane. He's got a green light. So that's silliness. If I was Toronto, I would move off Scotty Barnes. He's just too inefficient. And he's kind of their major piece. So I don't know what you're asking, honestly. Like, do I like Jonathan Kuminga? I mean, he shoots 33% from 3 this year, which is better than he has been, but I don't think he's ever really going to be a knockdown shooter. He came in on the wrong side of that. And then, Josh Giddey's had an amazing year, and then Jalen Suggs can't stay healthy. And then after Franz Wagner 8, that draft just fell off the map. There's a flip, like Alfred Şengün can play and Trey Murphy III can play, but after that, it's pretty limited. So I guess I don't think much of it. I don't really understand the question. Kuminga is going to be interesting to see what happens in the offseason, and I do think that the Lauri Markkanen story is going to heat back up. And frankly, the thought I had the day the Warriors traded for Jimmy Butler is that their next phone call is Lauri Markkanen, because now Lauri Markkanen with Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry fits really, really well, and maybe they're willing to give up some of those other pieces. Podziemski with a massive night last night. You stated that tanking works and referred to Cleveland, Houston, Oklahoma City. Seems too early to know if it works. What about New Orleans, Washington, Charlotte, Philadelphia, Sacramento, and others? It didn't work for them. Bad teams. So there's 2 things here. We have to define what works means. So Charlotte, it did work. In 2011-12, they had the number 1 and number 2, back-to-back worst records, and they made the playoffs for 3 years in a row after that. So you have to decide what works. The fact of the matter is, Charlotte never tanked again after that. Charlotte never had, and I don't like the word tank. A bottom 5, what I'm saying is you have to have a bottom 5 record in the NBA. Charlotte hasn't had a bottom 5 record in the NBA till last year. So Charlotte's not a good example here. In fact, I sometimes wonder why people quibble with my research. Kind of pisses me off, actually. Okay, Washington. It worked. Like, Washington had for 4 years in a row, and you can decide what worked means, but for 4 years in a row, they had one of the 5 worst records in the league. Then they had 1 year working their way up. Then they made the second round. Then they made the second round. Then they had a year off. And then they made the second round again. And then they made the first round. And then so it worked. They haven't had a bottom 5 record until this year. Since then. Unless they did it last year too, and I just don't have it in my record yet. Okay, but that's not Philadelphia. It worked. Like, it depends what you're defining as work. If your definition is a championship, it's a stupid definition. Because there's actually no model by which you win a championship. So I've decided, here's what I've said. Let's just be perfectly clear what I've said. If you commit to 3 years in a row of having a bottom 5 record, you virtually assure yourself the playoffs. 11 out of the 14 teams that have done it in the last 20 years make the playoffs. That's pretty incredible. There's not another model you can find out there that guarantees you the playoffs. And then the answer, but you said there's no formula for a championship, and tanking only has proven to give teams in the playoffs. Is it really worth tanking? That's a legitimate 100% question. If you trade all your future draft picks and just try to stay in the middle of the pack and trade for a bunch of players and you're just pretty good all the time, is that better? Because I'm not telling you, I think, taking it to a championship. And Jeremy Brunner, who's our director and producer, Emmy Award winning, is quick to point out, you don't find number 1 picks winning championships with the team that they got. Right? Like, LeBron didn't win a championship with Cleveland on his original team. You got to go back to Magic. There are not many number 1 picks that win the championship with their team. So, yeah, if the standard is championship, then there's actually no model that works. I mean, other than having a superstar born in your city. I think this is the most important one of all, and I hate to admit this is true. I've talked about this a lot this year. How worried are you, since even if a tankathon yields to desired results personnel-wise, the losing culture will be hard to shake? I'm not at all. I hate to admit it. It just isn't true. Like, Oklahoma City did it for 2 years. They're fine. Detroit did it for 4 years. They seem to be fine. Houston did it for 3 years. They seem to be fine. Cleveland did it for 3 years. They seem to be fine. I hate to tell you, but talent overrides culture. It's cute to talk about culture all the time, but talent overrides culture. And this might be the key thing. How many current Jazz players will be in the rotation next time we win a playoff series? Not many. So you're not killing the culture. It is Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast in the Utah Jazz. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have not followed me on socials, it's DLock09 across the board on all of them. Blue Sky, Threads, X, Insta, Snap, TikTok. Please follow me. Greatly appreciate it. Sign up for our newsletter at lockedondaily.com. And right now, we'll send you to the first ever 24/7 national NBA channel, Locked On NBA, on YouTube. If you're on audio, check out Game Night, every game, every night on Locked On NBA. Have a good one.